Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Buzz. All right. Now, we are getting messages. There's some train delays, so it's a bit of a lighter crowd right now. But the good news is that this will be available in the archives for everyone to view, and we got for all our international fans. So, you know, we're good. We're going to power through. The show must go on. All right, well, again, welcome to Morning Buzz. I'm Bella Gelman. I'm the Senior Membership Manager here at the One Club, and we are officially at the midpoint of Creative Week, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to Episode 3. Now, it's already been a massive week. On Monday, we celebrated the Young Ones Awards. Congratulations to our winners. Let's give it up for our winners. We had portfolio reviews, we had a client pitch competition, AI challenge, and tonight we have one of the biggest nights in art and design. We have the ADC Awards. And of course, this Friday, the night of all nights, we have The One Show. Give it up for The One Show and ADC. Now, whatever brought you here, we are happy to have you. But first, we have a stellar lineup for you. First, we are going to hear from Omid, Amidi, the Co-Chief Creative Officer of McKinney, who will discuss the transition from maker to leader and how to lead a culture without losing your craft. Then we're going to hear from Alan So, the Executive Creative Director from Skona, who joins us to break down why cooperation is the secret sauce to true collaboration. And then we're going to hear from illustrator, lettering artist, and graphic designer Martina Galarza, also known as Marte, and she will share her insights on how meaningful creativity comes from joy, authenticity, and connection rather than technical perfection. Now, we will have a mic going around for anyone who has any Q&A, but to keep us on schedule, we're probably going to limit it to 1 or 2 questions max. But shall we get into it? Everyone ready? Yes? All right. All right. Second. All right. So our first guest is a third culture creative who brings a global perspective to the world's biggest brands. As co-CCO at McKinney, he leads creative vision across brand, culture, and emerging tech. From the iconic Share a Coke campaign to award-winning work from Adidas and Google, Omid believes that the most powerful ideas don't try to be relatable. They earn unfair attention by saying something unmistakably true. Please welcome Omid Amidi.
Hello? Yeah, cool. We good? All right, great. Hi, everyone. What's going on? How's the volume? Good, good. Grand, wonderful. Awesome. All right. So I'm not going to do slides. Not my thing. But basically, for this chat, I essentially went from CD to CCO in 2 years, which was a bit of a trip. And a lot of people ask me questions about what is that like? It's a pretty crazy jump. It's pretty significant. We're not a small agency by any rights and means. We have 7 offices, a lot of people. So, and really what it came down to is that it became pretty obvious to me that I think in music and I think in movies, but like the soundtrack changes in your life a little bit. Like different meanings, different lyrics make sense. So instead, what I've done is I've picked 10 songs, and I'm going to play them. So we're going to listen to music this morning. It's not going to be some whatever entrepreneurial kind of discussion. And the lyrics are going to essentially trigger a couple of points I'm going to make just regarding like what it feels like to be a CCO. It's going to feel like it's a bit of a downer because songs usually are about conflict. I'll wrap it around. It's going to make it feel like I'm really emo about it. I'm not at all. But with that said, I think really what it is like becoming a creative leader it's not a promotion. You know what I mean? It essentially is, and it feels like a series of like physical and psychological mutations, if that helps kind of put it together. So different pressures, different fears, different loneliness, different responsibilities, and all at the same time, you have your own personal life that you're going through. So these are the songs that to me sound like what becoming a CCO has felt the last 2 to 3 years. Has it been 2 years? 3 years? 2? Thank you. All right, people. So the first song is gonna feel familiar, and let's make sure the volume is jacked, and we'll start playing. So that's the first one. So you heard the first words, really, and it is essentially the fact that people come to you for answers out of nowhere. So essentially, when you start as a creative, like, you provide answers, but it's much more like you just bring ideas to the table, and that's what you're known for. That's your currency. And all of a sudden, as a CCO, it essentially becomes really about people expecting you to have the right words every fucking time. I swear a lot, by the way, so if you have sensitive ears, I apologize. But fuck it. So it really is this idea of like, and when I was younger, I would confuse sounding smart for being smart. And in relation, I realized how I use my words has changed a lot and has evolved a lot. I think it was a lot more performative. I am Persian, so that comes with the territory of like my background. But I thought confidence really meant having the answer a lot of times. And in reality, like, leadership is actually usually asking better questions and listening. And that was really just the kind of the big thing that came about it. And like, one of the lyrics in the song is like, talking like a jerk, except you are an actual jerk. I was a huge jerk when I first started my career. And that's simply because you have an ego and you want to survive and you have a vision. And then when you become a CCO, you still have to figure out how to boot a vision, but lose that ego a little bit, lose those kind of a slight, I guess, aggressive nature at times. And that was kind of really the whole jag with that one. Cool. Is that better? Oh, cool. So that is the track number 1 of 10. All right. You guys ready for the second track? Yes? All right, cool.
That'll be the hour they knock the slick blaster. Dick Daster me and Muttley with sick laughter. A gunfight and they come to cut the mix master. ICE cold. Nice to be old. Y2G Steve twice.
All right. This is actually kind of fun for me. So I've never done this before, so this is kind of like a fun experiment. But the first lyric really is like, living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. That's essentially what the last 2 years has felt. Like, time has just become such a weird concept and such a thing you have to manage. For a while, I believed that it was like, I have to always be available. So I would have like, I can only do 15 meetings. And I had like 15 meetings every day. And I was double booked, I still am double booked, but that really is this idea of time becomes so valuable, and how you manage it and how you focus it, but how you ensure that, like, you don't need to be in every meeting to be impactful. Where you need to make sure your time is being spent is when you're in the room or when you're with the right people, you're actually giving them the answers 100%. And I think when you're younger or creative, you just spend time kind of like seamlessly. Like, you sit in a room and pontificate for 6 hours about a script. You come and go. So you go from a place where time is, you make it what you want to make it as a creative. You have that trust and freedom, essentially, to all of a sudden you have infinite meetings, infinite expectations of it. So you become this person that essentially, living off borrowed time, the clock tick faster. Like, the higher you go, the more compressed time feels. And how you manage that is one of the most important things that I've had to learn. I'm also a father of 2, and I have a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old that feel like they woke up and did a bunch of Adderall every morning. So time is really just fucking moving around. But that's been a really big thing from CD to CCO, is like, time is just a different concept entirely. All right, number 3.
Everyone seems a damn genius lately. TikTok talking, late night TV, still so much I have yet to know.
All right. So that's Zach. I should tell you the songs. The first one was LCD Sound System, Dance Yourself Clean. The second one was MF Doom, Accordion. I'm really switching up the genres for you guys. The third one is Burn, Burn, Burn by Zach Bryan. But I think that first lyric is, everyone seems like a damn genius lately. I think what you really kind of, and case in point, like, your role as a CCO has this duality where, like, all I really care about, honestly, as a CCO is I want the people that work with me to do the best work they can so they can go and get better jobs and make more money and buy a house and have a life. Like, that's really all I give a fuck about. But as a CCO, you're also responsible for seeming like a presence or an archetype. And you kind of, what it is like the insecurity that you have within you, we all do, like doesn't disappear. But when you become a CCO, the room just gets bigger and then the channels become a lot more. And you realize that every creative person, including your rivals and other CCOs, is essentially trying to outrun self-doubt in different ways. And we've become this thing recently, just really odd, and I've had to struggle with it, is like LinkedIn influencers type shit. And everyone just making themselves like this, like they're just these like geniuses. They have these answers, or like someone writes like the day after Cannes, someone always posts this thing, which drives me nuts, which is like, today's the first day of advertising year. And you're like, oh my God. We like pontificate about what is we do, and in reality, what we always kind of forget to speak to is like, we do this job because we could have all been engineers and lawyers and done things probably a lot more valuable to society, but we do this job because we love the idea of solving creative problems, business problems creatively. It's a playground. It's meant to be fun. We're all still children at heart. And when we put all this like trying to seem like we're geniuses, or trying to be bigger than we are, or we have this answer, or like whatever it is, it loses the joy and the spirit of it. And therefore, as a CCO, like, how do you make sure that you're like still, and this comes up a couple times, like you're still professional, you still have a presence, but you still keep the thing that got you in the fucking game in the first place, which is just the joy of writing a script. And somebody decides to give you hundreds of thousands of dollars to take a piece of, language that you put on a piece of paper that was blank and put it out in the world to see what happens to it. That's the poetry and the joy of it. So everyone seems like they're a damn genius lately, and I think I struggle with it because I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to be one of those people, but at the same time, it's beneficial to the brand, it's beneficial to the agency, it's beneficial for your clients. So that's just, I don't have an answer for this. This is just like a thing. That sounded like a dog screamed there for a second. It was weird. So there's that one. And that was the third song. It's Burn, Burn, Burn by Zach Bryan's. The fourth song is going to be pretty intense, but it's a good track. So.
Bunch of doctors come around, they don't know that New York is killing me.
All right, so that one's called New York is Killing Me by Gil Scott-Heron. I'm not saying New York is killing me. I love New York. But I think a lot of us, especially as creatives, 5 minutes, really? That was quick. All right, cool. I'm going to do Flash now. So one, essentially, a lot of us are really good at like basically sensationalizing, working really intensely in advertising. Like we think it's cool. It's not. So that's, it's really not. As a CCO and as somebody, like, obviously you got to manage your time, but I'm very protective over, and I've had to develop this because I used to sleep at the office and all that kind of bullshit. Like, I just had to spend time with my kids. I have to spend time outside. I have to spend time doing the things that like fill up my cup and my soul. And otherwise, the job will kill you. This town, the city will kill you. And at some point, you realize that adrenaline and happiness are not the same thing. So keep that in mind. Cool, next song.
It happened just the other day.
All right, so that's Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. It's called Almost Cut My Hair. Going back to this idea of like how the longer you stay in the industry, the more you have to essentially be professional and professionalized. But you slowly realize that like your creativity and your unruliness is your strong suit. So it becomes a balance, right? Like I swear, I've people here that work with me, they know I'm also a child and emotional and Persian, but at the same time I have to be professional. So like, and those elements of myself are what make me think the way I think, which has been a valuable asset. So how do you balance that? How do you balance between being a professional? Because sometimes you have a marketer in Midwest America that isn't going to be receptive to certain things. And how do you manage to work? And as a third culture creative, like as a third culture person, as an immigrant, you become a chameleon. The more you can become a better chameleon and understand how to essentially shape shift for the room based on it, allows you to be a lot stronger as a leader. We'll do 2 more songs. I'm going to skip a couple things. One was going to be Moment of Truth by Gangstar, which is all about like being lonely at the top. It's a longer lyrics I won't play because I have only a few minutes left. But I have a co-CCO. This job would be fucking terrible without him. A lot of CCO, the original we were supposed to do it together, but we're too busy right now. But like a lot of CCOs are kind of by themselves. And I think some of that is due to ego. They want to be the face. They want to be the name. They want to be whatever. But I think a lot of the truth of the matter is like the job is so complicated. Having somebody in the trenches with you day and night is amazing. And so I don't think I would have this job. I don't think I would be as happy in this job if I didn't have somebody to bounce off. So do remember you're only as good as the people around you. They make you stronger. They make you more valuable. But make sure that right person is there, that they understand you and also challenge you and keep you in check. And I've learned a lot from this person just in terms of how to be a professional, how to be a father, and all those elements have made me into a better person. I'm gonna do 2 more songs. Is that cool? That'll be like 4 minutes. Are you sure? No? Okay, cool. Thanks.
Tonight I need that woman again. What I'd give from a baby that just walked in.
So that's Misery and Gin by Merle Haggard. And the last lyric is kind of like, what would I do for that woman to walk back in? I'm not talking about love in this case. Like, the thing that you love most about the job is the ideas. Like, I think of the best ideas I ever had are like 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning. And I'll wake up early, have a coffee, and then for 3 hours, I have imposter syndrome. I write some dope shit. And I'm like, oh, I am good at this. And it's the best fucking feeling. It's my favorite feeling in the entire world. I'm like, I can do this. I'm good at this. And you lose that as a CCO a little bit because you're just always reviewing stuff. You're taking other meetings. But you need to find time, and we need to be in the work. I think a lot of CCOs sometimes don't do that. My co-CCO, we write a lot still. It's the thing that's why I always hope to see that quote-unquote woman walk through the door and make me feel warm again, and that I need that in order to survive, and I think a lot of people sometimes can lose that. And the last song, very quick, you'll recognize it, but it'll speak to what the whole purpose of this is. All right, so that's "Where's My Mind" by the Pixies, but the lyric is really simple. And with my head on the air and the feet on the ground, like you don't lose that part of it. Like, we're all dreamers. We all have our heads in the clouds. That's what makes a job so good, and that's what makes us do what we do. And I think inherently as a kind of CCO, the thing I realized the most about this job is that like your imagination is the whole thing. And that title changes, the meetings multiply, the stakes get bigger. By the end of the day, I'm still paid to daydream, and that's fucking awesome. And that's the one thing I'll never lose, ever. It's the only thing I believe is the truth to who I am and what I want to do as a CCO. And I think as an industry, sometimes we can lose that because of data and testing and clients and everything that goes into it. And no matter what, like, if you lose the ability to daydream, then you lose the ability to like just love what it is you do. So with that said, those are songs for going from CD to CCO, and that's the thing I tried today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. No, all good. Okay. Thank you so much. To streamline this a little more, and because of time purposes, we're gonna not do a Q&A right now, but give it up one more time for Omid. Sorry. Follow him on LinkedIn. He's doing great work. See what he's up to. So we are going to introduce our next guest, who has spent nearly 30 years building brands for some of the San Francisco Bay Area's most iconic institutions. From the first .com boom to branding the city of San Francisco itself, he has been at the forefront of the internet era. Now as Executive Creative Director at Skona, he leads a global team creating human-centered brands for B2B and AI giants. And he's literally fresh off the plane from Stockholm, so get him energized. Let's give him a very loud round of applause. Please welcome Alan So.
Hey, hey, god morgon. That's all my Swedish that I actually know, so. Thank you so much for being here. How do I follow that? That was pretty amazing. I actually relate a lot to what Amid has said about being a ECD or a CCO, but I'm here to talk about cooperation. Now, we all have heard about collaboration. Hey, I want to collaborate with you. I want to collaborate with you. What does that actually mean? We just so flippantly that it doesn't really mean anything to me, at least for me anymore. So for me, cooperation has a set of ways in order to do this. But in order for me to tell you about that, I need you to know a little bit about me and where I came from. That's me about 5 or 6 years old, probably the first time I picked up a ukulele, and the last time I did. I am a first-generation Canadian from a Chinese immigrant family, and somehow ended up working in the US. Ended up here maybe 26 years ago during the first .com rush, and now somehow worked with Swedes. Through this all, especially when I was a kid, I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. I felt like between two cultures, and then coming to the US, you guys have a different culture too. That's really true. And now working with the Swedes, there's another way of life that they have. But that's actually a superpower, and I think Omid put it pretty good, where you have to be a chameleon, and that is something that I had to learn pretty early on. I'm also a designer. That's where I started out. I'm also an art guy. I started a nonprofit arts organization about 25 years ago, and the whole mission of it was to inspire innovative art experiences in the San Francisco Bay Area. We developed a festival that lasted 20 years. It ran for 20 years, and it involved different artists, musicians, sound artists, writers, filmmakers, bring them all together and create new work in unexpected places. So this is like World War II bunkers, tunnels, parks, moving buses, moving boats, that sort of thing. And that's where I kind of learned that creativity actually does change lives. It actually, the ability to put so many people together that have different points of view actually created something new and exciting. So Skona, this is where I am now. I'm the ECD there, and Hona in Swedish, it means glorious, comfortable, beautiful. And I've been working there doing branding, advertising, digital experiences, motion work, and strategy work there. Jenny, our founder, she wanted to create an independent social democratic post in the US with Skona, where we had a flat organization, everybody had a voice, and you leave your ego at the door. We had Scandinavian sensibilities of lagom, and that means like comfortable, just right, balance. This idea of functionality and simplicity all working together. And we do this for ambitious B2B tech brands. And these are brands that we don't see every day. They work behind the scenes. They are the AI infrastructure where you grab a cup of coffee and that transaction and where it goes and how it goes and gets it out of your account. It's that type of stuff. So while we don't see it here, it affects our lives pretty dramatically in the way we live and how we work. So we have this idea of called respected experts. And this means that they have this wisdom. They understand their product, their roadmap. We understand how to tell that to the world and find that uniqueness that they have within them to amplify that. There's a saying in Swedish, gladar laxar I samma stim. And that means happy salmon swimming in the same shoal. Or meaning just like happy together, working together with the people you're with. So what is cooperation? Rick Rubin, everybody know who Rick Rubin is? Yeah? Creative Act, read the book if you have not, incredibly inspiring. He calls it where perspectives contrast or complement each other. They combine and create a new vision. Cooperation is where unexpected possibilities can be unlocked. That's pretty incredible, right? Let me tell you about what cooperation is not. There's no competition in cooperation. That means our ego, what we think we want, our ambition, should not block progress, should not block creativity. How many times have you done this amazing work and then someone else like shits all over it? And they're like, I don't see what you see. If we think about just and have reframed that idea that maybe they're actually trying to help you solve another problem, a problem that you might not see, then there could be a way of moving forward and developing something even greater. Second thing it's not is compromise. We think of cooperation as something that is, oh, I'll give a little, and now it's pretty blah. That's not what cooperation is. That's like signaling defeat. It's like saying, I don't care anymore. Like you've just like ripped everything out and I don't care about this project anymore. Cooperation does the opposite. It's actually listening to each other and finding the best way. It's actually trying to figure out the best outcome if you have the same goals in mind. Third thing it's not is optional. So we're all incredible creatives, and that's really, really amazing. But you only know what you know. You only know what you've experienced and lived by having some other person to bounce off of, for having a community to really work together. That's when things actually change and grow and develop. And that's when creativity actually starts. Okay, so giving you some tips here now. How do we cooperate? How do we do this? First thing we need to do is like know each other. We need to know our people. We know what keeps them up at night. And what this means, like both with clients as well as your teammates, is that when you understand them, when you understand where they're coming from, then you're more likely to work with them and understand how to get to a place that works in all ways. And when you do that, when you actually understand people very well, you can have hard conversations. And I think this is key, is that there's a time when, your ego happens and you're like, I'm cool, I'm good, I'm great. I don't need someone else's advice. And this is a place when there's trust that happens. And really the trust is the currency of creativity. If you think about that, that's when you can say that, you know what, I think you might be missing something here. I think that in what we're trying to do here, this is great, but maybe there's another way we can actually evolve this. The other thing, which is kind of hard, is erase preconceived notions of roles and ownership. We all have titles, ECD, an intern, CEO, but in the creative process, everybody should be equal. You come to my party, we're the same. Let's figure out an idea that actually works. Let's work together in doing that. The other thing that we do is with clients is that we don't just ask for feedback. We actually ask for ideas. And what happens here when we do this is that, there's a lot of what we call bad ideas out there. But sometimes that bad idea can be twisted and tweaked into something that's actually really, really good. And then R2 is when the real cooperation begins. So for my team, a lot of times we work together, we find a way that is going to, knock the socks off of our client, and that's the ultimate. And they feel like, oh, when feedback comes, shit. That, they dread that experience of like getting feedback on their work. But I'm trying to reframe this idea of the next round, because really that first round is the first introduction to the idea. It's the starting point, actually. And when we actually work with clients or work even with a creative director, that is when we see a person's point of view. And that's when the magic actually happens. And then just a few more notes. The idea that friction is good. Having friction allows for new ideas to come up and create something that is even bigger than either one person could actually produce. Now there's a caveat here. If you are working with somebody that has the exact same way, the exact same ideas, and there's never any friction, you're never going to get anywhere. The other way also doesn't work. If you're too much in your ego, you can't see another way. You can't be open-minded. So you need two people to actually have this open-mindedness to really make this work and make that work real. We work with a lot of AI. AI has no feelings, but you do. And I think that's the point. Don't lose yourself in AI. AI does a lot of great things. But you're the one who creates the meaning. What we do in our work is that we want to make something matter to somebody else. And that's the point of what we do. We want to make someone feel something. That's the point. So don't lose that. And the final thing I'll say is that human ideas are much more interesting than AI. And what I mean by this is that AI can generate 1,000 things, find a median average of ideas. But what it doesn't have is a lived experience. It doesn't have a point of view. It doesn't have a third culture. And it actually doesn't have mistakes. The reason why we're human and why things affect us is because we're fallible. We're imperfect. And that's where creativity actually stands. So, celebrate that. Celebrate our imperfection. So my final thought for you guys is that I want more cooperation in this world. Like, look around at these beautiful minds here. I want you to look at each other and see all the creativity that's actually in this room. And I want you guys to introduce yourselves to each other, because you don't know when that next person here might help you unlock your great work.
Thank you again. We're gonna
Ask me anything if you want.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, we are gonna close out episode 3 with some nostalgia. And we are going to hear from Martina Galarza, also known as Marte. She's a graphic designer and lettering artist based in Brooklyn, and she's inspired by 90s and a vibrant blend of 90s cartoons, psychedelia, and nostalgia. So over the past decade, Marte has collaborated with artists like Paul McCartney and Red Hot Chili Peppers, as well as brands like Nickelodeon and YouTube. And her work has also earned recognition from the design community, including Young Guns and TDC Ascenders. So make some noise for Marte.
Hello. Okay, hi everyone. Is it on? Okay, I cannot hear myself, that's weird. Okay. I am Marte, I'm from Argentina. English is my second language, so I'm sorry if I stumble, but this is where I come from. I come from a small town in Argentina called Junín, and I've been living in New York for 4 years now. This is my studio in Gowanus. That's not my dog. I wish I had a dog, but isn't he cute? So I know a lot of you are students, so I wanted to share with you a little bit of some learnings that I've made along my journey as an independent graphic designer these past 10 years. Some things I wish people taught at school, and if you're not starting, I think you can also maybe, I don't know, be interested with what I'm going to share. So my path to being a designer is quite a lot self-taught. I did study a little bit of graphic design, but I also studied lettering, and first thing that I ever made was posters, and it's still one of my favorite projects to work on. But I've also worked in murals, painting them myself. I work with music festivals, doing merch and identity. I also design album covers, visuals for artists like Lizzo, murals for Samsung that fortunately didn't have to paint myself because these ones were huge. And so, yeah, one of the first things that I would like to share with you is to try to be playful with your work. This is something that I learned kind of like accidentally. This was like right during the pandemic. I found myself back in my childhood home, and I discovered a box of stickers from when I was a kid. And I just kind of like felt that joy of like being a kid and like really like treasuring these things. And so I had a lot of time off because pandemic, and I decided to like start designing my own sticker sheet of things that I loved, which it was close to my birthday, so it was like a lot of things. Sorry, I'm just gonna play this back and forth because it's supposed to be looping, but it's not. So yeah, things that I love related to my solar sign, that's Taurus, so it's a lot of like food and candy and sleep and things like that. And honestly, like I wasn't hoping to do anything with this. I was just like having fun. But then when I finished, I decided to like post it online, and people like really responded to it, and like they were asking like, where can I buy this? And I'm like, this is not real. Like I didn't. But they forced me to actually print it, and I ended up like shipping so many of these things, and that like really like struck me to think like something that was like as silly as this and like really like playful and childish like could get that big of a response. And back then I was like way more what's the word, I was like trying to like be excellent with things, you know, like trying to be like a serious illustrator. I started lettering for so long that doing bubble letters was like prohibited almost, you know. But I enjoyed it, and I feel like that's the learning that I want to like share with you. Like when you enjoy what you do, that is like what gets, like people somehow understand that. Like feel like there's an energy that it's like imprinted in your design and people feel it. And I know it's like too mystic for a Wednesday morning, but I do believe it is the case. So much so that people from YouTube ended up seeing this, and they were like, yeah, we want our own stickers. And it's crazy to think that one day you're your own client, and the next day YouTube is your next client. So this was when they were introducing YouTube Shorts at VidCon in LA. So they were doing like a drive-through where you would go and like get your like Happy Meal, and it would come with like the sticker sheets. So yeah, a lot of fun. And then as I continued to design like through a more playful lens, oh my God, I wish this thing was looping. This is like the most annoying thing. Thank you, Google Slides, if you're watching. So Nickelodeon came to me asking for a rebranding pitch. And the idea was to be playful, fun, silly, like all those things that I was experimenting back then. And I mean, Nickelodeon, I was like so stuck to like designing this. And it was like so unexpected that they actually wanted that energy, you know, they didn't want like technical excellence or anything. They wanted me to have fun, and it was the most fun I ever had. And sadly, it didn't win the pitch, but it was great. And then the guy said, Coach also saw those stickers. So it was like 2 years of like nonstop work coming from that silly sticker sheet. And they ended up, they were like, oh yeah, we want like that, but like robots and space. And we're gonna design a whole collection. And this was like worldwide. It even got to Japan, and one of the guys from like Stray Kids wore it for like a photo shoot. So it went like viral, and it got sold out like the day of. So really crazy. Another thing that is like very, very important for me is working with purpose. I started doing design because I wanted to help my friends' bands with their posters. Like I wanted to help their music reach a bigger audience. And when I experienced that, when I was like, hey, I can have fun designing posters and I'm helping you, and the people are loving it, I was like, oh, this is great. Like I'm seeing an impact here, and this is like the best feeling ever. So 10 years after, small bands ended up being Paul McCartney and Arctic Monkeys, and it's crazy. And as humbling as it is, I still need to work for like independent artists. So every time I got the chance, I work with, for example, Mickey Perez, that is a independent DJ from Brooklyn. But the thing is that even though I do work with big brands and big artists, I do need to understand that my work is being used for a good reason, even if it's a band or a software that is being used all around the world. This, for example, it's from a coffee shop that is around the corner from my studio. I also had a bad logo, and I was like, hey, I'll design your logo. Just give me free coffee. Win-win situation. And this is a hugely important one from me, work with your hands. I learned to work with my hands through lettering, but I never stopped doing so. I think it's, fuck AI. It's like, there's no way. There's been a lot of times, I mean, I obviously use the computer, but there's been a lot of times that I find myself like, no ideas, feeling like blocked or like loopy. And I just like turn off the laptop, grab a pencil, paper, and ideas start flowing. Creativity is always a dialogue that you have with yourself. So I know it's easily to get lost with like trends and mood boards and all those things, but go back to you, go back to your hand, let your hand guide you, and good things are gonna come out of that, for sure. I mean, how long have humans used the pencil for? It's a tool that has been around for millennia. Like there's an energy in that, for sure. So I wanted to like be more in contact with my own hands. So every morning I started doing morning sketches. I sketch my partner in like 5 minutes. I sketch whatever is like around in my table, whoever friend is around. And it's been great. Like it's been a great work to warm up my hand, a great way to connect with reality, be in the present. And then you have this, like all these memories in one notebook is really, really beautiful. I also started oil painting for fun, and it's been so great for my mental health. I think that finding ways to be creative but not capitalizing it is so helpful. And lastly, I've talked a lot about work, but the most important thing for me to have a healthy relationship with my work is actually having time off. So it's been 10 years being a freelancer. Life and work can get really mixed up. You don't know who you are, who's the professional, who's the human being. So I really try to have a set routine, hard finish at 6 p.m. Save time for my loved ones, for things that I love to do. Spend time in nature. I went back to swimming, so now twice a week, first thing I do when I wake up, spend some time in the water. It's one of the best things ever. And then I feel energetic to continue creating. So be playful, try to find what fuels you, what excites you, and work with that. Remember to reconnect with your hand, and also don't work too hard. So this is a little bit of my work. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. One more time for Marte. Thank you. All right. So that is a wrap on episode 3. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We have 2 more episodes of Morning Buzz tomorrow and Friday. So yeah, thanks again. Stick around. You can chat with our speakers if they're sticking around. And yeah, thank you. See you tomorrow.